Hey everybody, what's going on? Dan Taylor from danthepixarfan.com here, back once again, and today, following my very first Mattel Pixar Featured Favorites review last Monday, which was Linguini from Ratatouille. Be sure to check out that video if you haven't already. Today, I'm reviewing the second release in this collection, which just hit Amazon a couple weeks back, and that would be, of course, this set here featuring Dory, Marlin, and Nemo, inspired by none other than Pixar's 2003 classic Finding Nemo. I'm absolutely thrilled that these figures are finally here, and I'm so excited to dive into all the details with you today, so let's get right into it. Now, I already shared a lengthy explanation of what this new Featured Favorites line is all about in my last video, so again, I'd watch that one first if you want to learn more, but just a real quick summary, this Pixar Featured Favorites line of figures is part of Mattel's signature 7-inch scale action figure collection, but it's a new subcategory geared toward older fans and collectors, and it gives Mattel the opportunity to release some surprising fan favorite characters from some of Pixar's older films that maybe wouldn't be so marketable today in the basic kid line, while also adding in some additional details, accessories, and articulation that wouldn't be possible at the basic $10 price point. So with that said, ever since Mattel's 7-inch scale action figure collection started expanding in 2020 with additional Pixar characters outside of Toy Story, immediately I hoped that we'd eventually see some from Finding Nemo. And well, Mattel made it happen, guys. My dream came true, and I think this Featured Favorites line was the perfect way to introduce these characters in this scale. So anyway, again, I love what Mattel is doing here with this line, and that includes the packaging. It all looks so incredibly awesome. The way that everything is presented is very well done. You can tell right away that this is a more premium collection, and it would catch any Disney collector's eye, I think. So kudos to Mattel for keeping in-box collectors in mind as well, since the figures honestly look almost just as good in the box as they do loose, which isn't always the case. So if you are one to keep your pieces in the box, I think that this line is going to please you right off the bat in that aspect alone. So as far as the back of the box here, again, we have some extremely appealing and vibrant shots of the figures and how they interact with their anemone and brain coral bases using the included clear display rods, which, by the way, is my favorite feature here with these. And then a preview of the other three characters in this first wave, which are Linguini, Russell, and Buzz as Mrs. Nesbit. And then, of course, again, there are some visual callouts to some of the figures' articulation points as well. Now onto the opposite side of the box, we have renders of Dory, Nemo, and Marlin, as well as the Pixar logo again, and back to the front. Now, this same packaging format will certainly stay consistent throughout all the Featured Favorite series releases, so expect the same layout on each package in this line moving forward. Okay, let's go ahead and get everything out of the box, shall we? Since that's what you're all here for, right? Release! 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 Alrighty, here they come, the blisters sliding right out, and bam! There they are, and I can tell already that these are looking super awesome. I'm so looking forward to popping these guys right out in a second, but first, as a reminder, just like with the Ratatouille set, and I'm assuming every upcoming Featured Favorites release, the cardboard backdrop in the box is removable, which, again, like I mentioned last time, is such a nice touch. This can be used as a background for your loose displayed figures on your shelf, and or will certainly come in handy for anyone out there like me who enjoys toy photography. Unfortunately, as you can see, mine got a little damaged in the mail, as you also probably saw on my box. It had some rips and imperfections as well, but it is what it is. Okay, finally, here are the figures themselves, and I'm gonna go ahead and start with Nemo here, and just look at how fantastic he looks, guys. I really hope that this video is doing him justice here. So, we got his lucky fin there on his side, and all the screen accurate details you'd hope for. He has just one point of articulation, which is his tail fin. It can move back and forth like so. And yeah, some nice paint and printed details all around, like his eyes, for example, use the printing technique Mattel has been using. And there's his underneath, where you can see the hole that any of the included clear rods can be inserted into. And you know, now that I'm actually looking closer on the side, I am seeing some slight paint splats and imperfections, but nothing too terrible. I do wish it was a little cleaner, obviously, but don't worry, yours may be just fine, and for me, this isn't a huge deal breaker or anything. Now, it doesn't seem either of his side fins move, or I believe they're called pectoral fins. There doesn't appear to be any articulation there, but I also don't want to try and move them too hard, because I don't want to break anything. Anyway, there have been tons of Nemo figures and figurines, and even bath toys released over the years, but I can't think of any other Nemo figure in this specific scale that looks as spot on and realistic as this. Next up is Marlin, and right away he's maybe not quite as impressive as Nemo, but he's still really good. Maybe it's just the way that his eyes are printed on mine. They look a tiny bit lopsided to me, and then right down the middle of his face there, it's pretty noticeable where the kind of the two sides of the sculpt come together. However, these are just slight criticisms looking at this thing super close up. Ultimately, he does actually look very true to the character, especially when compared to the other Marlin figures from over the years. I'd say that this is still one of the better Marlin figures I've seen in this smaller size, if not the best. So now for Marlin here, his pectoral fins are articulated. They're on ball joints, so you can move them back and forth and all around. His tail fin is also articulated. It can move back and forth, just like Nemo's, but I think this one seems to have even a wider range of movement. And then underneath there is the hole once again where one of the rods can be inserted. And yeah, that's really it. Again, there are some slight paint imperfections like it was with Nemo, but you know what, this is still a really good figure overall. I'm totally happy with it, but I do have to point out these slight flaws since, if not, I'd hear it down in the comments anyway, right? Okay, moving along to Dory here, and first impression, this is another really solid figure. I mean, she also has that line down her face where both sides of the sculpt come together, but to me, it's definitely not as noticeable as it was with Marlin. The main issue I see here is that it does cause a divide in her teeth, making her kind of look like she has buck teeth. The prototype image on the back of the box doesn't have that problem, so I do wish it looked more like that, but it's not a huge deal. Once again, she's got the hole underneath there for a rod, and then, like with Marlin, her fins are on ball joints so that you can move them all around to pose her out. Her tail fin is also posable. It can be moved back and forth as expected at this point. Overall, Dory looks really good, and her likeness is very accurate to the film when it comes down to it, even though there are tons of Dory figurines and toys out there from over the last, almost 20 years. Surprisingly, there aren't too many actual posable action figure style versions like this at all. So coming from a guy that already has tons of Dory toys, this really is a refreshing release. Okay, done with the actual characters, and now onto the accessories, which also act as the display bases. And they're also borderline playsets as well, so yeah, there's lots of good stuff here. Anyway, here is Dory's brain coral home, which actually isn't in Finding Nemo, even though this set is branded as Finding Nemo. This is technically an accessory inspired by Finding Dory, remember as seen at the beginning of the film when we see Dory sleeping in it next to Marlin and Nemo's anemone. So this one has 3 holes that you can insert any of the 3 included display rods into, 2 on the top there and 1 on the bottom in the front there. It's cool because you can display any of the characters on any of the rods by placing them in any of the holes here. So there are so many different ways in which you can display the characters, which I'll show off in a minute. But yeah, this is such a neat inclusion to help play out the world of Finding Nemo / Finding Dory, and it will no doubt look fantastic on display. This kind of accessory is right up my alley. I absolutely love this, as well as Marlin and Nemo's anemone home, straight out of both Finding Nemo and Finding Dory. I don't have really anything like this or Dory's brain coral home in my collection, so this is just awesome to have, as this one in particular is pretty iconic. Not to mention, it's another great display piece. The sculpt is very well done and feels very true to the environment we see in the film, and I love the bright, vibrant colors. So this one actually has 6 holes that you can insert any of the 3 rods into. 1 on the front there, 1 on the back, and 4 on top. So you have even more placement options when displaying the figures here on the anemone. Alright, speaking of which, let's go ahead and insert one of these clear rods into Marlin here, like so. And here we have Marlin and Nemo displayed on their anemone home. Visually, it makes all the difference that they made the 3 rods different heights, so I'm glad Mattel thought of that instead of just giving us 3 identical ones. And at least with the anemone home here, you can also adjust them within the holes as well to get an even more precise look. So you really do have countless combination possibilities when displaying your figures. Without question, again, having the ability to pose and display these figures as if they were swimming like this is my absolute favorite aspect of this whole set and worth the price alone. Next, real quick, let's get Dory on display as well. Can't forget her. And here she is displayed on her brain coral home. And then we'll add Nemo there as well. And why not? Let's get Marlin on there so you can see all 3 displayed on this together. Look at that. Again, there are just so many ways to display these characters here. This is literally just scratching the surface, but I at least wanted to give you guys some ideas. Oh, and as far as size and price, Nemo is around 1.5 inches long, Marlin is roughly 2.25 inches long, and Dory is about 3 inches long. And this set retails for $21, and I'll go ahead and drop the Amazon link to purchase below. So to wrap up another review here, I absolutely love this set, and it has my highest recommendation to everyone, whatever age you are. This is an item that is equal parts toy with play value and collector's piece with display value. Even if you're not an avid collector of Mattel's 7-inch scale action figure range, maybe you're just a big fan of Finding Nemo and want these next to you on your desk or on your shelf or whatever. Either way, you'll definitely want to pick these up and you will not be disappointed. Mattel, keep the featured favorites figures coming. This line truly is a brilliant way to celebrate over 25 years of Pixar storytelling and memorable characters, and it really is an amazing gift to us collectors who grew up with these films. So again, keep up the great work and keep surprising us fans with unexpected releases. As always, I'm looking forward to reading all your comments below, and if you did enjoy this review, I hope you'll consider giving this video a big thumbs up and subscribing to my channel for more Pixar toy news and reviews from my personal collection. Don't forget to ring that bell. Find me all over social media at Dan the Pixar Fan, and I will see you in my next video.